Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of this series. Last time I went over through a few of my side characters, but surprise, surprise, I have more. As I've mentioned before, I don't really have a specific protagonist, so just because I say main or side, like each one has their own little thing, and I tend to focus on whichever I feel like focusing on. This batch of characters, however, definitely fall more onto the side category, as I don't really focus on them all that much. Well, actually, no, I lied. I do focus on a specific one, and I'm pretty sure you can guess which one it is. Most of them are really here to just bounce off the characters from the previous videos, or just add a little more to their backstories, or, just offer more jokes. Oh, there's also the fact that these characters, and most of the ones in the next few videos, are actually pretty new. All of these were made in the past year or so. Sure, that doesn't sound that great now, but you gotta remember, I've had the ones in the last two batches for almost 4 and 5 years. So, technically, these are pretty recent. Anyway, enough talk. Let's get on to these boys. First one's first, Ashton. If any of you guys like Warrior Cats and watch Moon Kitty, you might know the character Ashfur and how she draws him. So that's how he came to be. I decided to do a human Ashfur on a whim one day and just renamed him Ashton, and then I gave him a completely different everything, and that's what happened. Ashfur's a gray cat. This boy only wears gray. This cat has spots, hence the freckles all over him. Moon Kitty draws him with long, blonde, beautiful hair. Look at him. But other than that, that's pretty much all they have in common. Anywho, so yeah, Ashton. Like Jax, he's also an internet personality. And Jax's rival. Fabricated rival. In real life, they're pretty much friends. Ashton even moved into the same building Jax is in for work. No, they do not live together, but they do live in the same, apartment complex or whatever. Instead of edge, Ashton's whole stick is hipster/neckbeard. You know, those people who think that they're so cool and so unique, but they're actually really pathetic? Yeah. Like Jax, the whole thing is a facade. Except the pathetic loser part, that's true. Unlike Jax, he actually likes his job and doesn't regret it in the slightest, and thinks it's pretty fun. However, he is less popular and he gains less money. His pay isn't bad or anything, but his spending habits are crap. He spends most of his money on hair products and knickknacks and just random miscellaneous things, but when it comes to rent, he completely forgets. For that reason, he always has to go to Jax and be all like, "Hey man, could you lend me some money? I'll pay it back, I swear." He also dropped out of college but never told his parents, so they keep sending him money. So that's a thing. Because of that, he's quite flamboyant, though he doesn't really push it onto other people. He kind of sort of just flips his hair around or just does a pose here and there. By himself, however, he's the kind of guy who takes hours in the bathroom preparing himself, and he also flirts with himself in the mirror while he's alone. He's all like, "Oh, who's this? I've never heard of an Ashton before." So, yeah. He's also my excuse to make hair jokes and draw it beautifully. I wish I could have hair like that. Alas, this is a drawing, and in real life, it doesn't work that way. And if you're wondering, yes, he really does love his long hair. Very, very much. And no, he will never cut it. I like to think that his stuffy parents don't like it at all, and they always tell him to get that darn haircut. Next up is Brandon, with the Y. Full name, Brandon Harper. And the story of his creation is quite a funny one, I find. Okay, so one time my cousins and I watched White Chicks. Bear with me, okay? And for some odd reason, that one guy who accidentally slept with the Terry Crews character, he stuck in my mind. I don't know if it was his bad hairstyle or if it was that thing, but I don't know, it stuck in my mind, and one time I decided to go ahead and draw a character that looks like him. When I did that, I was like, what kind of personality fits this haircut? An asshole jock! So that's what he is. And yes, the varsity jacket was very, very, very necessary. Anywho, he acts like a jock from an 80s sports movie. So, like, he loves sports, especially American football. He's really athletic, and he's just in general an asshole to everyone. Back in high school, he saw himself as the popular kid. He was the quarterback. All of the girls loved him, and he picked on nerds. However, most people could just, like, see through his bullcrap. I like to imagine that Brandon focused so hard on being the jock that once high school ended and he couldn't play football there no more, he didn't really know what else to do. He tried applying for colleges to play college football, but none of them accepted, so he was forced to work at Café con Leche, which is a coffee shop like all of the characters just go to. He keeps acting like his jock self, but everyone, like even back in high school, it's not just a thing now, everyone is all like, bro, grow the F up, and it always stumps him. The thing about him is that he just can't let go of his high school days, so he's kind of stuck living in the past as everyone around him becomes adults. The basic concept for his character is to bring like a stereotypical jock into like this semi-realistic world. So instead of his actions being, I don't know, cool or something, everyone just sees him as the loudmouth egotist he actually is. Moving on, we got Andrew. In the first episode during the AJ section, I mentioned that Andrew was his old friend who wasn't exactly the best influence on him. So, Andrew. I like to imagine that him and AJ met when they were kids at a store, with Andrew teaching him how to steal candy or something. After that, they became friends, with Andrew teaching him how to smoke and do drugs and smuggle things and stuff. I imagine that Andrew got into that stuff at a really young age. Backstory time. So, Andrew comes from a really, really troubled home life. His dad was abusive and beats him, and his mother is an alcoholic who never gave him any attention. So he used things like drugs and crime and stuff to distract him from all that. At one point in his childhood, he was removed from his home and he was placed into foster care, but his parents eventually got him back, so yeah. As a kid, he always got into fights and he was suspended a lot. As he got older, he eventually convinced AJ to run away with him and go to New York City. Of course, AJ eventually left him, and that made Andrew pretty mad. Though he knows AJ doesn't like doing the things they do, Andrew always tries to, like, keep him close to him. Mainly because AJ is more or less his only friend and the closest person he has. He always tells him his problems, and every time AJ tries to get away from him, Andrew always pulls the, "You're my only friend, you have my back, right?" card. However, AJ eventually saw that being with him was not that good, and now he tries to distance himself away from him as much as humanly possible. Andrew didn't like that, and like a weed, he just kept coming back into AJ's life, still trying to talk to him and stuff. I like to imagine that everyone tells AJ to just stop talking to him, but AJ's like, he's the one talking to me. In short, it's a heavily one-sided friendship. Despite that, Andrew is also really jealous of AJ. Though AJ also had somewhat of a rough upbringing, he's nice, has many friends, and has connections with, like, the freaking princess. Ooh, another reason why Andrew returns to their hometown was because he accidentally punched a mafia boss while he was high. So, yeah. He basically lives in hiding now in a crack house or something, I don't know. Oh, I forgot, he also fought Brandon when they were in elementary school, and Brandon just can't let that go, because of course he can't, and hates Andrew with a burning passion, but Andrew himself does not even remember the event, and is like, sorry, I guess? And finally, we have Quinn. Now, Quinn, along with Jay, is straight up probably my favorite of all of my OCs. If you followed me for a while, you realize that I do him a lot. A lot. A lot. I don't know, I just really, really love his design and personality and just everything I gave him. So, Quinn, if it wasn't blindly obvious already, he's Irish. And yes, I know that Quinn is more of a surname, but when I searched up Irish names and saw that, the name was just too adorable to not give it to him. He immigrated from Ireland, and he's actually one of the only characters that I imagine with an accent that isn't the standard American one. Anywho, when I first created Quinn, he was originally meant to be a very happy-go-lucky, optimistic dude who just spreads happiness and positivity to the point it gets annoying. And he still is that, but now that whole happiness part of him is an act in a way. In reality, he's actually a really anxious, quiet, somewhat apathetic, and depressed person. Whenever he's not at work or with his friends, he's usually at home or either wallowing in his own thoughts or drinking or sleeping. He occasionally goes through an existential crisis a whole bunch and is prone to blame himself for everything. As a kid, he was always really lonely and awkward. He tried to make friends, but they'd always just either ghost him or just avoid him altogether. As for his parents, though they do love him, they are always very busy working and they're not with him all the time. This makes him feel like it's somehow his fault and that he shouldn't be begging for attention so much, and feels like he's being annoying and selfish. He isn't, obviously, he just feels that way. He doesn't want to burden anybody with that, so he just puts a smile and tries to make other people happy. Oh, and also, he's a very, very heavy drinker and alcoholic to deal with, the whole existential crisis and depression. Because of course he is. Now that I think about it, he's really my only character who's like this. Maybe that's why I love him so much, I don't know. As for his relationship with the others, he's the closest to Coloratura. Actually, he's her ex. He just went up to her one day and he was like, "Hi, I like you." And she was all like, "Oh, okay." They dated for a while, but over time they realized that it wasn't gonna work out. It's not because they hated each other or anything, it's just that the spark, I guess, just wasn't there. However, because Coloratura was the first person to even accept hanging out with him, Quinn still clings to her, but she doesn't mind it, she's cool with it. She finds him endearing and likes that he doesn't try to act big because she's royalty. They do like each other, they just don't like each other that way. Now they're really close friends, and Quinn hangs out with her and her friends all the time. Then there is Brandon. Ever since high school, Brandon always picked on Quinn, and he still does, taking any opportunity to take jabs on him. Quinn also works at Café con Leche, so that's annoying to deal with. Still, Quinn tries to stay strong and keep a happy expression, which only annoys Brandon further. Anyway, his design. You might think he's based off a leprechaun, but actually he was based off the dendritic cell from Cells at Work. And New Zealand from Hitalia. Of course, with all the green, I had to make him Irish. It was too easy. Obviously, I love what I did with his design. I love his green suit, I love the clover on his hat, and I absolutely love the weird little hair thingies that wrap around his face. I do not regret giving him that in the slightest. And that's all for today. I hope you liked this video and this batch of characters. Now that I've done most of the main and side characters, the next batch is going to contain more minor ones. And an outlier. After that, I do have a few more, but I'm not sure if I'll do them. The reason is because they're more minor than the minor characters. But we'll see. Anywho, this video is getting long enough. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!